Welcome to Beyond the Money with Jackie Campbell. Jackie is a certified financial planner, CPA, personal financial specialist, and founding partner of Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs.
We're focusing on where you're at, what changes you need to make, what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and what you should continue doing.
Campbell Company is proud to call the Nature Coast home, serving Orlando, the Villages, Tampa, and beyond. Now, because there's more to life than just finances, let's go beyond the money.
And you can meet Jackie Campbell and the entire team when you visit mycampbellandco.com. Or call at any time this weekend. We have a representative standing by, 352-251-1015. Welcome out to Beyond the Money Radio and the Beyond the Money podcast. My name is Mark Owens. Jackie Campbell, I'm going to pull back the curtain. I need you to talk about yourself and proudly brag about yourself because you have a milestone birthday on the way. And your confetti moment lasts. Some people celebrate for a week or two. I think you celebrate for a quarter.
Yeah, probably 365 days of the year. It really and truly is, instead of dreading the birthdays, I learned this many years ago, and it's probably started with my mom when I was young, but just celebrate your entire birthday and be grateful for what you do have. And, this is going to be a really special year. Just wait. I got something really big planned. I thought it was going to be an African safari, but other things come up, and that's not my to-do this year for my big birthday,
Sure.
but, hey, I can't wait to share it with you when it happens. So,
Wait, are you saying that keep an eye on your email, Mark? There may be an invite coming on a very special trip because I can double check it right now if you need me to.
Yes, yeah. I'm gonna. My goal is to do something special with those that have had a significant impact and influence on my life. So,
Okay. Well, Mark, and you are not invited is what I heard. I can read between the lines on that one. 352-251-1015, mycampbellandco.com. And Jackie, as we talk about milestone moments and confetti moments, if you will, and we've had this conversation before about the milestone birthdays. Can we just do a couple of seconds real quick about some of us that are reaching some of those milestone ages, what we need to be on the lookout for, what we need to be focused on once we reach 55, 60, 65? What are some of those milestone birthdays?
yeah. Well, it all starts at age 50. That's the very first one, right? So, 50. There's some abilities to retire and not have that 10% penalty. Depending on what profession you're in, how many years you've worked. 55 is another one. 59 and a half. That's a pretty big celebration. That means you can take money out of your retirement accounts penalty free from the Internal Revenue Service. But, age 62, that's another big one. Making the decision about Social Security. Are you going to take that income stream, or are you going to defer that and let it grow? If so, what is the Social Security maximization that you're trying to get to? If you're still working, you don't have many choices there. But it's just planning about that, being aware of what that even means. Age 65, that's a big one, probably the most celebrated in the 60s, and big birthdays, I would say, celebrated. So it is when you're eligible for Medicare. So 3 months before age 65, we call it 64 and a half. That's when you should be sitting down with someone, having that conversation. And we do have someone here on our team at Campbell Company that can help you through that. You don't have to go through all of those decisions all by yourself, but want to make sure that you're making confident decisions. So that's a big one. You've got a few others. 67, full retirement age. You've got 70 and a half. That's the old required minimum distribution age. So if you were born 1951 or later, you get to defer that a little bit longer, your required minimum distributions. So you've got till age either 73, age 75 for 19, I don't know what year it was. Scratch that and I'll come back and fill that in.
You're fine.
So you may have the ability to defer that to age 73 now, which is another big birthday milestone. That's when required minimum distributions come into play. And then you have 75. So there's a lot of other great birthdays all in between, but those are some big tax milestone birthdays that we love to celebrate with our clients and bring attention to because it's a brand new tax planning strategy that needs to be thought about.
Always the milestones, always think about your confetti moments, those big birthdays. And the team at Campbell Company offer the Milestones in Retirement, a checklist, if you will. And to get your copy, just reach out to the team at mycampbellandco.com. You can shoot them a note from the homepage, and you can simply put, I'm looking for the milestone checklist, or I've got a birthday coming up. What do I need to know? Again, mycampbellandco.com, or you can call it anytime, 352-251-1015. You mentioned Medicare there a couple seconds ago, and it can be very overwhelming. A lot of layers to Medicare. Open enrollment has begun. So you mentioned that you do have somebody with you at Campbell Company that can answer some of those questions.
We do. We have a Medicare planning team, and they have many years of experience. And, it's just brand new decisions, right? Making sure that you're picking the right plan that's going to work for you for whatever medical issues or whatever doctors that you may be going to now, and prescriptions that you may be taking. But it's also, are you traveling? Are you staying in the state of Florida? Are you going out of the country? There's a lot to consider there, just to make sure that you're making the very best decision for you and that you're confident about that. Your health care and your retirement can have a big impact. And, give us a call on that. We'd love the opportunity to help you. If you're about 64 and a half, now's the time to start having those conversations to try to figure out what is going to be the best strategy and the best plan for you. 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com. And don't forget, we've got open enrollment coming up. That's October 15th to December 7th. So it's the opportunity that you have, if you're already enrolled in Medicare, to take a look to see if you want to make any changes to your plans.
We talk about every week here on My Campbell & Co. We talk about it every week here on words just got hard. We talk about it every week here on Beyond the Money, talking about income, taxes, risk, but also want you to know they have you covered when it comes to Medicare as well. So if you have any questions, again, it can be overwhelming. Now is the time to call. 352-251-1015. Or as Jackie just said, mycampbellandco.com. And Jackie, fascinating statistic that said 60% of adults have that date circled as when they want to retire. But 60% of those adults don't make it to that planned retirement date, mainly due to loss of employment, income, or health-related issues. And only 20% of adults said they retired because they had their finances fully in place. Those stats can be a little shocking, if you will, but do you agree? And does this reinforce the importance of getting ahead with your financial future?
The number of people that I talk with, especially couples that can retire before they ever think they can, is staggering. And giving yourself the permission, picking that date, that's a great strategy, but wouldn't you want to know, am I going to be successful? Am I going to be able to live the lifestyle that I want? Why not? I keep thinking this whole age thing, the older I get, my grandmother always said that getting older is not for sissies. And, when I was younger, I thought, what does she, what does she know? Well, she lived to 89, so she knew quite a bit. But, I feel like they've got this backwards. I feel like we should be able to be retired at a younger age and then work at an older age, right? When we're not able to go so much. But I can't change that whole concept. But it's, why not? If you can afford to retire in your 50s and in your early 60s, and you're healthy and you want to travel, or you've got things that you want to do, write a book, do great things, whatever that might be. Let's have that conversation. Don't just wait till a certain date that, feels appropriate because your peers or your relatives or your neighbors are retiring at a certain age. Let's look at what is best for you and what you can do, because many of us came from the best generation to teach us how to save money, how to clip coupons, how to not step over a penny or a dime or any of those small coins that others will just walk right over these days. And really save and being intentional. So many have done a much better job than they realize, and they have the ability. So let's have that conversation. That is some of the best conversation and best meetings that I can have with somebody is, saying, hey, worst case scenario, if you're ready to retire, you can do it now. But, I understand many want to wait to age 65 for health insurance reasons. That's a big extra cost to make sure that you're planning for if you're retiring under the age of 65. So, but I do see often that many have a target Mark, and they get to that age and they just don't want to retire. They don't know what to do with themselves. Entrepreneurs, business owners, and I'm a big advocate of, when we have those conversations, it is beyond the money. It's more than the math. It's about, how's your health? What do you think your life expectancy is going to be? What do you want to do? What are you passionate about? What kind of relationships? Who do you want to spend time with if you had the freedom of time? And also making sure that your future is bigger than your past. That has such a big, profound impact on so many because, a lot of us will just, pick a date, we retire because we've got our 25 years in. Okay, 25 years, I'm done, I'm out the next day.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with your time? If you don't have a plan and you're happy doing those things, then maybe you do keep working. Maybe you cut down and work a part-time position, or maybe you do consulting. Whatever really makes you tick, that's what you should, be considering in your plan, not just a specific date. Because we all know it. We can have the best laid plans, and statistically, it is out there that we spend more time planning for a vacation in a year than we do for our retirement, which could be 10, 20, 30, maybe 40 years. So if you have not sat down, especially if you're married, and got on that same page and looked at your plan 100%, 360 degrees, all the way around, all 5 important key financial pillars, give us a call. Would love the opportunity to sit down with you, see what your 360-degree retirement roadmap looks like. Is your target age or date appropriate? Or what else should you be considering? And maybe it's going to be that you're going to be able to retire way sooner than that. So I love it when somebody comes and they have that ability, because it brings up another issue. Now you've got choices. I love choices and I love options. It certainly makes any kind of blind spots or health issues that come along much, much easier to deal with. So let's have that conversation. 352-251-1015, or you can go online at mycampbellandco.com.
And we do have a representative standing by right now and throughout the weekend as well to answer your questions. But most importantly, get you on the calendar to sit down with Jackie and the team at Campbell Company. But Jackie, is it a dangerous way of thinking for an adult to say, I'm not even going to start thinking about my retirement until I've saved at least $1.5 million? Or, you know what? I'm not even going to make the phone call until I've got $3 million in assets. That can be, it almost feels like that's just, that can slow you down, that could hold you back from, achieving the retirement goals you have if you're not going to do anything until you have a specific amount saved.
Yeah, two people can have the exact same amount saved. So let's just say it's $1.5 million, right? $1.5 million. You hear that? How much do you need to have saved for retirement? $1 million, $2 million, $4 million, $5 million. I heard recently, but you can have the exact same $1.5 million saved, but your retirement could look completely different than the next couple that we're talking to. It's taxes. Taxes is certainly a big part of that. How have you saved? Do you have IRA money that's going to be taxed someday to someone, every dollar in there? Or do you have money that's after tax or tax-free? So those can be big things. But each one of those major milestones that you hit, those major birthdays, it might not be about the dollars. I mean, for example, you're just hitting different checkpoints, and you may have the lifestyle, your plan for retirement. Maybe you're going to spend $60,000 a year, and maybe you had really high income and wages through your working years, and you've got a better Social Security check than the other couple that we're comparing to, right? So it's not always apples and apples, even though you might have the exact same amount saved for retirement. What is your lifestyle? What are your costs of living? Some have a mortgage. Some like to pay their debts down before they go into retirement. It sure makes life a lot easier. You don't have as much an income, cash flow needs, but maybe having a mortgage is the appropriate thing for you. Let's have that conversation. Don't wait until you're 62, 65, 67, or even worse, health issues come up, and guess what? Now you have no choice. Or your employer cuts back and you're in your 29th year of service for one company and they decide to make cuts. So let's make sure, have that conversation in advance. I mean, why wouldn't you? We kind of know that what age we're going to be when we're graduating high school. We kind of have an idea of, okay, 0 to 100, you're probably going to have a life expectancy somewhere in there. We have all these dates in our heads based on what we've seen, what we've experienced, or what our family has gone through. But retirement is certainly one of those. If you've seen some really successful retirements in your history, your wealth story that you're bringing forward with you, why would you not make sure that you're having a good, successful retirement in your own wealth story? Let's have that conversation and let's do some planning in advance.
That number is 352-251-1015. Again, 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com. And again, multiple locations of Campbell Company across the Nature Coast. They can meet you at a time and a place that fits your schedule. Recently, big baseball fan, big Braves fan. I worked for the Atlanta Braves for a long time. And our coach, Brian Snicker, announced a couple of weeks ago that he is stepping away after 49 years. And he was with the same organization. He was with the Braves from the beginning until the very end.
Wow.
And Jackie, I thought of two things I thought about. Number one, that pension must be unbelievable. That lucky guy. But number two, he's stepping away from coaching, but for the 2026 season, he's going to be an advisory role. He's going to be a consultant. Do you see that a lot for people who finally retire, but they don't fully step back? Maybe they become a consultant?
Oh, yeah. I've seen many transition into retirement, especially entrepreneurs. I mean, that's really hard for entrepreneurs to step away from things, right? Because they get bored and they're going to create other problems that either they'll have to put out the fires or someone will, right? Because they love to solve problems. I mean, that's really what an entrepreneur is built to do. And, those that are in law enforcement, those that are in the medical field, what do you do? What do you do to kind of continue, your thinking and your feeling of usefulness? I mean, that could be a big part of it, right? We have our podcast Beyond the Badge for our law enforcement officers, our first responders. What do you do after you hang up the hat, the gun, the badge? It's a big shift, but having a bigger future than your past, I mean, that I just can't express that enough. Knowing what you're retiring to, what you're going to do with that freedom of time. I think that's a big part of it. And I think one of the greatest challenges that I see is for someone to retire because they think they need to, or their peers or family says, when is enough enough? Why are you still working? I think it's really about you, and don't use a rule of thumb. Don't use a certain dollar for retirement. Don't use how many years do you really want to work. I mean, if you're being fulfilled by doing coaching or still working in law enforcement. I mean, there's many that work past 50 years in law enforcement. I mean, I don't know why, but that's me. I would not spend the first year, doing some of the things that they have, enough courage to do. But, it's just about what really matters most to you. And I think staying fulfilled. I have one couple that I've worked with for, over 20 years now. And, he retired with a really great pension. She supported him, worked with him. After he fully retired, he said, I'm just going to work a few more years doing some consulting. And here they are in their early 80s. And she said, he's going to retire next year, but he said that every year since he was 62. So, but definitely starting to cut back a little bit and being a little bit more intentional and selective. But it still excites them. And, I really think that it is beyond the money. It's not just about doing your 25 and out. You hear a lot that work with the government, they're very intentional on exactly what that day is going to be when their retirement period is up. But, if you're doing what you love to do, I mean, there's no rule saying you got to stop doing it.
That's right. And I know you have a special place in your heart for LEOs and first responders as well. That's why you and your husband, Scott, created Beyond the Badge, a podcast specifically for LEOs and their families. You can find it across all podcast platforms, Beyond the Badge, or get more information at the homepage of mycampbellandco.com. And, Jackie Campbell, speaking of sports just a little bit here, Robert Griffin III, he is a former quarterback for the Commanders. And back in 2012, he signed his rookie contract, and it was for $21 million. Now, I want you to hear this clip. He was on the Mighty podcast, And he explains how this was his first real money moment and learning lesson.
So when I was signed in the NFL, signing bonus was $14 million. So I signed it. They tell me, hey, it's going to get paid out over 6 months or whatever. So then when I get the full signing bonus, I only got, and I say only respectfully, $6.9 million. So less than 50%. I called my agent immediately. I'm distraught. And I'm like, oh my God, they took all the money out. Where is the 14 million? And he's like, Rob, it's taxes. You didn't tell me that they were going to take half of the signing bonus.
See, athletes, celebrities, they're just like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's just the higher your income, the higher tax bracket that you're going to be in. And Florida's a great state to be in if you're going to have high income, a state tax, inheritance tax, but ongoing each and every year, whether you're working or in retirement. I mean, you look at the state of California, it's over 13% additional income tax. So he must be in a really high income tax state to actually have to pay that extra. But it's all those nuisance tax that slip up. You think that 37 is the top tax bracket, but it's not. It's 40.8 is the top tax bracket right now. So, and if you look back in history, back in the 1940s, I mean, the tax brackets were in the 90%, the top tier. So I've been in the 70s, through the years. So, to have a 40% tax bracket, but I've seen many successful professionals and athletes, and business owners that definitely they paid about 54 to 58% was their effective tax bracket because of their state and federal taxes. And that's hard. You make 10 million and have to give 54% away, or a fraction thereof. I mean, that's the reality. And I love that he was just so shocked by it and so frank and vulnerable about his thinking about it, because I can tell you that that happens more often than you realize.
Yeah. And, for a lot of adults, and I'm sure you've seen this before, a lot of people think that, hey, I'm done working, Jackie, so of course my taxes are going to go down, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't have a paycheck coming in every week anymore from my place of employment, so I'm not going to pay as much to Uncle Sam. Not so fast.
Yeah, that's a misconception for sure. Yeah. And I when I was talking with a couple the other day, I said, did you ever think that you would have over $4.5 million in savings at this point in your life? And they said, not ever did they even think that. And I said, did you ever think that your retirement income stream would be over $200,000 a year? And that was significantly more than their earning years. And it's just such a great story. But I think it's also important just to kind of stop sometimes and just be grateful and think about the things that you never would have dreamed possible. There's many that, depending on how you've saved for your retirement, if you have a pension, if you have, a high Social Security income, if you have after-tax savings, if you have, a high required minimum distribution, those can all affect your tax bracket that you're in retirement. And the challenge is, Mark, most people do not spend as much as they think they will in retirement. So they just keep accumulating and compounding, which is a great problem to have. But at the same time, you're in a much higher tax bracket and your income is often higher. Once you layer in, like the military pension, your disability pension, your savings, the interest and dividends and capital gains on that, plus your Social Security as that has rolled up over the years with the cost of living increases. So it's just amazing to see the power of compounding and what math can really do for you. But that is a false statement for most. You do have to pay more taxes in retirement than your working years for so many.
The importance of a tax strategy. Man, I would love to have that conversation to say, Jackie, for you to say, hey, go spend your money. You have too much money. Go spend it. You're going to get taxed on it. Man, let's have that conversation. 352-251-1015. It's the 360-degree retirement roadmap from Jackie Campbell and the team at Campbell Company Wealth Advisors and CPAs. And this weekend, if you've saved at least $500,000 or more for your financial future, that initial consultation, that 360-degree roadmap is no cost, no obligation. 352-251-1015. We're always available at mycampbellandco.com.
Now, the Beyond the Money tip of the day.
If you're coming up at age 65, one of those big milestones, your Medicare alphabet. I mean, there's Medicare A, there's Medicare B, there's Part C, Part D, and then there's Medigap supplemental plans, A through N. So a lot of alphabets in there, but making sure that you have someone that you're going to be working with that's going to help you navigate to and through the Medicare planning system. So give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to talk with you. 352-251-1015. We do have a Medicare specialist on our team that will be able to talk with you right away and see how we can help, making sure that you're making the best decisions just for you and your medical choices as you move forward.
Give me that number one more time.
352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com.
Yeah, and regardless if you're in Spring Hill, Odessa, the Villages, there is an office of Campbell Company near you. Plus, the phone and Zoom consultations are always available to meet you on your schedule. 352-251-1015. Jackie, as always, thank you. Thank you for the education and the information this weekend. If you missed anything, we invite you to stream the Beyond the Money podcast. It is available across all podcast platforms or at the homepage of mycampbellandco.com. We're back next weekend, but before we get out of here, Jackie Campbell, let's give you the final word.
After going on a family trip with my mom, my aunt, and my cousin recently, I realized just how nice it is and how blessed that I am. And all of us, I would just, encourage you as we come into this end of the year season, the holiday season, just to pause and look at all the influence that you've had in your life, and just take time to be appreciative of them and tell them, what a grateful season that we have all year long. But just being really intentional. And as the Dolly Parton song goes, you can't make old friends. So there's some of the best. But thank you so much for listening. And if you are coming into some of those big birthday milestones, need some help just kind of comforting you and guiding you and kind of being that sounding board as you go through your financial retirement season, give us a call. We'd love the opportunity to help you get clarity, confidence, and direction in the next chapter of your life. 352-251-1015 or online at mycampbellandco.com. This is Jackie Campbell, Certified Financial Planner and Certified Public Accountant of Campbell Company, Wealth Advisors and CPAs. And join us again next time on Beyond the Money Radio and the Beyond the Money podcast.